So today we're going to take a look at what's going to happen if these STAN countries unite in the modern day. This video is going to be very unrealistic. All the events that are going to happen are purely fictional. But yeah, let's see what happens if these STAN countries unite in the modern day. All alliances in my videos are disbanded. Nuclear weapons are also disbanded. And with all those things said, now let's get right into the video. The capital city of this country, of course, is going to be Islamabad. But right now, Pakistan is the strongest country here. So yeah, most of the military only comes from this region. And now this country is going to be pretty strong, mostly ran by the Pakistanis. And yeah, right away we can see that the first thing that these guys do is they start things off by declaring war on Azerbaijan. All of the Turkish countries up here want Azerbaijan. Yeah, that's kind of the first thing that they're going to be doing here. And things might not be looking too good for Azerbaijan. I don't know how good of a navy there would be in the Caspian Sea, but let's just say that with the new military that they have, they make a naval landing right away, taking control of Baku, the capital city of Azerbaijan. Then they go around and secure even more regions, and slowly but surely we can see that at some point all of Azerbaijan is now under the Stanistan's control. Stanistan, that's two stands. But yeah, in a peace negotiation we can see that all of Azerbaijan got completely annexed by the Stanistan, or the Stan Union. And yeah, the neighbors kind of have an idea of what the Stan Union wants to do because of what they did right here. Diplomacy wise, they hold good relations with the Russians, you know, because of these guys. Then they hold good relations with the Chinese because of this guy, and Afghanistan doesn't contribute to anything, so yeah. But anyways, we can see that after this invasion, the Stan Union is going to militarize their country. They're probably going to come up with economic reforms. Now that all of these Central Asian countries have access to the Arabian Sea, there's going to be much more trade and thus a much better economy. They would also be importing new weapons, recruiting more and more troops from all over the country, and they're doing all of this just because they want to militarize their country really well. And let's just say that after all of this militarization, the only possible country that they can declare war on right now is going to be Armenia, since that's the only viable option here. And yeah, not much happens. Armenia just gets rolled over by the huge military of the Stan Union. Couldn't show much resistance, so yeah, we can see that all of Armenia got completely annexed by the Stan Union. But one country has a major problem with what these guys are doing. That country is going to be Iran. They really don't like the expansionist regime. Another country who is having a lot of problems with the Stan Union is India, because of their tensions with Pakistan. And now that it's kind of like a super Pakistan, they are worried right now. But the Indians are not going to do much right now. Although the Iranians, yeah, they are going to do something. We can see that in order to put an end to this expansion regime led by the Stan Union, the Iranians feel confident enough and they declare war on the Stan Union. Now the Iranians are going to have an upper hand here because they are the ones who prepared for a war against these guys. So yeah, now let's see. Iran's main focus is going to be Pakistan, and that is just because the main country here is Pakistan. So we can see that they start a push in from the south and they're securing some of the regions down here. Over here in Azerbaijan, they start their own push, eventually getting up to Baku, securing the capital city. And yeah, down here in Pakistan, they continue their push, meeting a lot of success down here because Stanistan was caught off guard. They also start their own push from here, securing these parts of Pakistan as well as Afghanistan. Eventually they get to a very big city, main city of Pakistan. They were able to secure it, and eventually we can see that Pakistan lost all of its coastline. This is all major news now that the Stan Union is cut off from the Arabian Sea. These guys continue their push, now making a spearhead and trying to get to Islamabad. The troops down here now push up the Indus River, which holds most of Pakistan's population. Eventually we can see that both these armies were able to meet up, and now both these guys start to push up towards Islamabad. But eventually at this point there was a lot of panic going on. The Stan Union was panicking and they were able to send some troops to the front lines. They're still not able to mobilize their entire forces, but yeah, with the arrival of these troops we can see that the Iranians get pushed back and they get cut off from each other. The troops go around the Iranian troops, encircling them in the Indus region and now retaking that main city. We can see that eventually these encircled troops surrender. There was a huge Iranian army, but in Azerbaijan they make a lot of gains because the main focus is here in Pakistan. The Iranian troops down here also surrender, and now the Iranians get pushed back all the way to their borders. They were able to re-secure their coastline. So yeah, this doesn't matter as much. We can see that the Pakistanis start their own push into Iran, or maybe the Stan Union starts their own push into Iran. And at this point in the war, the entire forces were mobilized and they are sent to the front lines. Things might not be looking very good for the Iranians because they had severely underestimated the Stan Union army. These troops get absolutely devastated and pushed back. These main armies now go down here and they start their push into Iran. Eventually, we can see that they were able to secure all of the southern regions. Unfortunately for the Stan Union, they lost control of pretty much all of Azerbaijan. Only some armies now remain in Armenia, but another Stan Union army now pushes into Iran from the north and they really push in. Eventually, we can see that the capital city was secured, from which point the Iranians, yeah, they suffer a lot. These troops now get into Azerbaijan, re-securing the capital city and taking all of Azerbaijan back. The Pakistanis continue their push up, eventually securing the entire coastline. Now Iran is crippling. These troops now push down. Iran gets cut into two parts. The western half surrenders. And at this point in the war, because the Iranians knew that they were not going to be able to win this war, the remaining armies in the east also go ahead and surrender at some point. And this was a decisive victory for the Stan Union. In a peace negotiation, we can see that all of Iran got completely annexed by the Stan Union. The Stan Union really did not want to do this, but they were kind of forced into doing it because the Iranians themselves declared war on the Stan Union and they had no other option but to fight. Even though they won this war, because of the conscriptions and all of the panic that happened, there was a lot of economic decline in the Stan Union, so they're gonna take their time to recover from all this war. But once again, unfortunately for the Stan Union, they were not able to do that freely. Hey, they have some bad luck going on, I guess, because the Indians saw that the Stan Union was very vulnerable right now. They couldn't stop themselves from doing this. So yeah, this is pretty much what happened, and things might not be looking very good for the Stan Union. So yeah, now let's see. We can see that the Indians now start a push up from Kashmir, the part which is under their control right now, and they start to secure some regions up in the north. We can see that they also start their push from the south, but this time this city was able to defend itself. The Indians do meet some success down in the south, securing a lot of regions, and yeah, this is only happening because the Stan Union is not prepared. A major blow to the Pakistanis happened down here. The Pakistanis, yeah, they were not expecting something down here. We can see that the Indians started pushing from here, and basically Islamabad is very close to this place. They're really in this panic situation again, but the Indians, they could not secure Islamabad, but they do push down here. But at this point of the war, the Pakistanis was like, we can't do this on our own. They were probably going to lose Islamabad because, well, this was a surprise attack, and if they had lost Islamabad, then stuff was going to be very, very bad. They asked the Chinese to join in, but the Chinese, they're kind of hesitant. They don't do that right now, but they do say that they might consider it in the future. The Indians send more and more troops to the front lines, eventually now securing the city down here. And we can see that these troops now start to push down, securing some major regions of Pakistan. The troops up here continue their push, even though it's just mountains, but they still do it. And now this army also starts to push down. The Stan Union's army is not fully mobilized. Things are not looking good. But now the Indians concentrate most of their troops up here. They make one push in, and unfortunately for the Pakistanis, or the Stan Union, they lost Islamabad. These troops push up, encircling some Pakistani troops here who go ahead and surrender. And pretty much from this point, the Pakistanis are kind of pushed back. But to everyone's surprise, the Chinese now decide to join in. As it turns out, they had only been preparing for all this time. They start their major push in from the region that they claim to be theirs. They also start a push down from here, cutting off eastern India from India. Here, a lot of troops are encircled. But yeah, a lot of Chinese troops now enter into Afghanistan, and now they get to the front lines. With the arrival of these troops, and with some mobilized armies by the Stan Union, the Indians now start to get pushed back. Eventually, we can see that Islamabad was retaken, and yeah, the Indians are now getting pushed back. The problem is that the Indians are now fighting a two-front war. Over here in the east, they're losing because most of their troops were here, so now they have to send back some troops. The Chinese are also pushing into the eastern regions, where the Indian troops are, yeah, they're not doing too well. Eventually, with a lot of Chinese troops on the front lines, the Indians get pushed back all the way way to their borders. Now a combined army pushes into Kashmir, even though it's one of the most militarized zones in the world. With the Chinese support, we can see that Kashmir was secured. The Pakistanis now push down from here, with help from Chinese of course, securing these parts, and now they start to push down. The eastern regions of India surrender, but with the arrival of the Indian troops, these front lines are kind of secured for now. Although the Chinese and the Stan Union now decide that they want to take over Delhi, they come up with a major plan. Basically, a huge Chinese and Stan Union's army now pushes into India. Unfortunately for the Indians, they were fighting a three-front war, so this was kind of expected. They lost their capital city of New Delhi. Eventually, these troops now start to push up, encircling all of these regions of India, and yeah, they get devastated every day. From this point, the Stan Union sends more and more troops to the front lines. With the arrival of these troops, we can see that these whole regions were secured. These troops also meet up, and from this point, we can see that the Indians are just getting pushed back. And after years of fighting, we can see that both these guys were able to take over all of India, which came at a very huge cost, by the way. The Indians were overwhelmed here. So now let's take a look at a peace negotiation. And yeah, India turns into a Holy Roman India. The Stan Union did this just so that the Indians would not unite against these guys. And because of the Iranian and the Indian invasion, the Stan Union at this point is very weak. And to show further invasions, it would just be very unrealistic. So I'd rather just give a prediction on what they're going to be getting. This would happen. But overall, this is going to be the Stan Union at its peak. This is going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and tell me what you guys want to see in the future. And thank you for watching.